Dark side? What?
Darcs.
Darcs.
What's the stand for again? David's Advanced Revision Control System. And this is the David in the
And for a long time, I've regretted putting the David in there.
with the arcs.
Hard to get something named after yourself.
Okay, so probably everybody has heard of CVS and subversion. Well, darcs is the same idea. It's for versioning files, but it's designed to be completely distributed instead of subversion and CVS, where you have a central location where all your changes have to go there first before you can grab an update or something like that. And darcs works by it tries to store all of your patches in an unordered set and then figure out how they depend on each other dynamically, like as it needs to. I found darcs because I wanted to start versioning things in my home directory, like little source code snippets I'd written over the years and things like that. And I started using CVS, and it wasn't that bad to learn how to use it, but it took me a while. And I was checking in large files, and it kept seg faulting, and I was going, oh, that's no good. I don't want to do software with seg faulting. So I started looking for other things. I found the PLA Arts, if you've ever heard of that. I think Emacs uses that now, is that right? I spent probably about 4 hours trying to learn how to use Art, and it was more painful than CVS, and in the end I could barely create a repository and check files in. And then I searched some more, and then I stumbled on darcs, and I was looking at the manual, and it's like, okay, so how do I create a repository? I've kind of gone through this twice now, and I knew that it was going to be painful, but I was going, okay, I'll learn how to do it. And the manual just said, well, darcs init. And so I tried it. Okay, I had a repository. It's like, sweet. So I added a file, darcs add. Okay, it's in there, record. And the thing that really surprised me was when I did the record, and it was completely interactive. So in CVS, it just says, okay, recording, and it shows you like a log file that it did. In darcs, it actually said, okay, you added this file, are you sure you wanted to do that? And I had choices like I could skip, like I could come back and look at this later. And then once I said yes, add the file, it said, okay, these are the contents of the file. Do you want those, or do you want something else? And I said, yeah, I want that. So then it recorded it and asked me for a log message and that kind of thing. And I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. But that's not even where darcs gets really cool. The being completely distributed. So if you use subversion much, you might have run into this where you and maybe a coworker have both checked out a copy of the repository, and you make a change in one file, and they make a change in a different file, and you go to commit your file to the server, and subversion says, no, you don't have the latest version, you need to update first. So you update, and your changes between you and your coworker are completely different, but they checked in first. So you have to update. So then you update, you get updated, and then check in your changes. And sometimes they've modified something in that other file that you didn't want, like something you weren't ready for, and so then you have to figure out how to get back to your old version or something like that. In fact, I've been fighting with this at work this week. Subversion kind of annoys me sometimes. Let's see. Not sure what else to say on that front. I was kind of thinking I'd be able to do like a live demo, show you guys how easy it is to set up a repository and have people contribute to it. Probably the easiest way to get patches from people is if they email them to you. Darcs has a send command where it creates an email and attaches a GIF file basically in a special format. And so I figured I'd do that, but I don't have email set up. I don't have an email client set up on the computer where I'll be receiving the patches. So I'm going to have to get the patches in my Gmail and then copy them to the server. But if you did this a lot, if you receive patches over email a lot, you can actually set it up so that MUD or something actually has a command so that you can just pipe it to darcs and apply it to a repository, and it's pretty slick. I haven't tried it, but David tells me it's what he does. I usually use SSH to transfer my patches, because darcs is kind of independent of the underlying OS or whatever, and so it just uses SSH if it has permission. So you don't run like a special darcs server, which I know you do with Subversion and probably CVS too. But darcs just says, you know, oh, I can't access the file, and so that's how you can control permissions, you know, just Unix permissions. So what I was thinking, okay, so I have a server somewhere, and I have a directory that's web accessible. And this is just a normal directory, nothing special here. And these are all darcs repositories that I have for whatever reason. And so to create a new darcs repository there, I just go into that directory on my server. Let's call it talk. And I go into the talk directory. And so all the darcs commands have, you know, a full version, like darcs initialize is how you create the repository. But as long as what you type is unique between all the commands, you can shorten it. So I usually just type darcs init because I never remember how to spell initialize. Oh, did I misspell init?
I think there's only one command with an I.
So that created the repository, and it's like right there, I already have a repository. So I'm going to go back here. So we have the top directory now. And you look at it, and there's nothing there but the special darcs folder. And then if you ever wanted, you could poke around inside there. But prefs is probably the only subdirectory that you would ever really want to change things in. Let's see, is it? Email is the one that sets the email address.
Yes.
So if I go darcs, prefs, email, put my email address, then if any of you guys get that repository and use darcs send, that's the email address it'll go to. So you usually want to set that up if it's like a public repository. And in fact, if any of you have darcs on your machines and want to get that repository, the command you'd want to use is, just copy it out here. So if you type that command right there, that would download a copy of the repository onto your machine. And then our repositories would be independent and complete. So you could then take your copy and put it in a web directory somewhere of your own and have your own branch, basically, your own complete copy of this repository. So that's kind of nice when if you want to, if you're on a software project and you want to have like an unstable version, you can just create a branch by just darcs getting, and then you have your own copy, and you can implement some new feature that you expect to break half the functionality, and it's completely independent of anyone else. And in the process of doing that, if you realize that you fix some bug, and that bug is independent of the unstable version, it's like, oh, well, that was a bug in stable. You can actually selectively just push that patch back to the other repository. And since darcs tries to store all of its patches as, okay, what patches depended, which patches are not in that repository that this one depends on? And it finds those for you. And then it says, well, did you want to send these too? And you go, oh, well, of course. And so you send all those. And it's amazing when you see it work. It's like, oh, wow, that was cool. Okay. So we're thinking maybe we put like an HTML file in here, and then anybody who wanted to try interacting could send in a patch. You could see it live on the web page.
I already sent you a patch.
Oh. David's proud. Good kid.
It's not an HTML file.
Oh, nice.
Might take a while to go by. That was the test email from before.
Yeah. All right. Well, while we wait for that email to arrive, any questions? So the thing I described where you have a patch here, and you want to send it back to the stable repository. We call that cherry picking, because it's like you look through the patches and say, okay, I just want this one, and so you put it over there.
I do have a question. What differentiates darcs from the other distributed SVMs?
So the other ones I know of are like monotone, and there's like a
Mercurial and Git.
Git is distributed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't used Git. I used monotone a little bit. Monotone is similar to darcs in a lot of ways. Not so much in the user interface, but in the theory behind it. But I think darcs is probably the one with the richest theory, like the one that tries to handle the most general cases of being distributed. I'm not sure how to explain it. Yeah.
This one. The big difference is that darcs views your repository as containing a bunch of changes, a set of changes, and you can select them at will based on the way it deals with changes, whereas all the other distributed systems, Mercurial, Git, and Monotone, are based on the idea of a set of versions. And when you have a set of versions, or a tree of versions, there's no way to pick a change out that's in the wrong place. And they have hacks that will allow that sort of, but it's not natural in those cases.
Okay.
It leaves sort of snail tracks behind.
So I'm sort of new to the patch theory, so it's taking me a while to learn. One other thing that's unique to darcs is it's written in Haskell, which not a lot of software seems to be written in Haskell, but it's sort of like one of two killer apps in the moment. Haskell, the other one being GHC, the Haskell compiler.
And Pudge.
Oh yeah, so that's three now. Yeah, Pugs is the Perl 6 implementation. It's like, I don't think the real implementation is finished yet, so it's kind of waiting on.
Did you maybe check in a file?
Yeah, I could do that. You know what? I'm just gonna okay, so to add that file, you just say darcs add test.html, and then you can record that. And it says, shall I record this change? And this is an add file. And you've got all kinds of options, like yes, record it, no, don't record it. Wait and decide later. Then S and F are just sort of like yes and no, but for the whole file. Because it'll ask you, the diff algorithm finds sequences of changes. And so darcs will actually ask you on each sequence. It won't just ask you once per file. Probably the interesting one. So I can cancel that and add another file if I want. And then I can say, try to record that again. Do I want to add foo? No, I just wanted to add test. And then it says, okay, the contents of test is test. Do you want to record that? Yep, sure. What's the patch name? So, add test. So darcs, internally it uses these hashes to identify patches, but then it doesn't show you that. It asks the user for a name, which is basically just a sentence, like, what did you do in this patch? That's a good patch name. So add that, and then you can add long comments. So this was an example. So that's my long description. All right, and so then it's recorded. Go ahead. Okay, so then I just transfer that patch file to the file system on the other machine. And you can actually look at that in less or something. And it's basically just a diff file with a little bit of other stuff wrapped around it. And you can see in the long comment, David said, you know, hi Jason, I'm sending you a test patch. And that patch bundle hash, is that the name of the patch?
That's just a check. No, that's a checksum. It's been a real pain with Windows corrupting our patches. They keep trying to add these little carriage return new lines or whatever, and so that's corrupted a number of repositories. So we added a hash of the file itself. So that
one thing that's kind of interesting is you learn to read these files from just using darcs. So you might remember a second ago, it asked me some questions and it said add file, in my case test.html, and that's actually what's in this file. So when it asks you those questions, it's actually showing you exactly what it's going to put in the patch file. So just from interacting with darcs, you learn to read these files, which can be really handy because somebody sends you a patch, and a lot of times you can look at the patch without applying it and know exactly what it's going to do. And then you apply it, and you already know what it's going to do, so you don't even have to look at your files after that. You go, oh, well, I know what that patch is doing. And so you can, it avoids this thing where sometimes you get a patch and you don't have to apply it before you can reject it. Like if you're a maintainer for a project, you can just look at it and go, oh, yeah, I see exactly what this is going to do, and I'm not okay with that, so reject it. And so you don't, otherwise you would have to apply it and then unpull it or obliterate it. Some of the darcs commands have multiple names. Okay, so now I've got that in my home directory, so I just say darcs apply. I'm inside the repository. Oh, another thing is, so Subversion and CVS, they put a .cvs or .svn folder in each subdirectory. And if you do like an update or something and you're in a subdirectory, it seems to only affect there and down. Darcs only puts the _darcs directory at the top level of your repository, and it actually will look for that. So if you run a command somewhere in a subdirectory, it'll just recurse up until it finds that _darcs, and then it'll say, okay, this is a repository, and you know this is where I apply my changes. So I run that. And that added the hello JSON file. And is that something I want to look at in the web browser?
it's fine.
Cool. It worked. Any other questions?
So if you want to pull, I've made a few patches you can pull from http physics.org.edu /rounded /text.
Is that just like that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's another thing. You can pull from different repositories every time. So, you know, maybe your different users have set up, you know, they all have their own public version of your repository, and you can, you know, pull from this one this time, pull from a different one this time. I could have viewed those patches. I didn't think to do that. So what I could do is darcs changes, So darcs changes will tell you what's been changed. I can run it in interactive mode, and then I can view what he just sent me. So he just modified test.html. It's like, I just forget the command to go to the next one. So why is skip to next patch? And view that one. Oh, okay. So he changed the hello JSON file. And he hit Q to get out of that. So, yeah, another stupid change, literally. Yeah, this one's not really an HTML file. And let's see, what are some of the cool things we can show?
Can you remove a patch now?
Oh yeah, to get rid of one. So, so some commands have multiple names. In this case, darcs unpull and darcs obliterate are the same command. I like unpull because it's easier to spell.
I don't think we have any other O commands.
So you can just say darcs out.
Yeah.
That makes
Another
sense.
thing darcs has, which I think you don't have set up, is it has bash completion, the smart kind of it. If you set it up so that you can type darcs O and hit tab and it'll complete with obliterate.
So just undo the modification of the test file. Back connect and back to the original. Just says test.
So can you redo that without reapplying the patch?
So I deleted the patch file, is what I just did, in this case, using unpull. There's also like revert, and what other options do we have? For,
Revert would be for changes that haven't been recorded. Yeah.
right.
And so there is no unobliterate, although there has been a request for it.
Yeah, it didn't actually, so the patch file is still in my repository, but it's been deleted from the inventory, which means it's there, it's just a file in that directory. Darcs doesn't know anything about it anymore. So if you were careful, you could go back in and add it to the inventory, and then if you ran darcs revert, would it reapply it?
If you add it to the input, you really shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's manually hacking around the internals, so.
Yeah, you could correct things that way. But you could just pull it, I mean, unless I've also deleted, he can just do pull again and it'll get it.
Yeah, and it remembered the last place I pulled from, so if I say pull again, it says, oh, it looks like you've done something else. So, what did you do? Oh, you did a replace patch. You want to explain replace patches?
Okay. So darcs has a command called darcs replace. You can go replace too. So which basically acts on tokens in a file. So you can replace foo with bar, and wherever foo is, it'll become bar. And the fanciness is it takes more than one person talking, one person typing to make it interesting. But when you merge a replace patch with an ordinary modification of a file, it will merge those changes, replacing foo with bar wherever they are. So if you want to rename a variable and someone else is madly coding away using that variable, you don't have to worry about a conflict if you use a darcs replace patch for that, which is
Okay, so in this case, what would be a good patch for me to apply
So-
to show that off?
I think there's a question.
With the replace patches, can it be more than just a single token? Can it be multiple lines of code if there's some type of template or something that you're or
Well, tokens, it can't be multiple lines.
Okay.
Replace patch.
okay,
Because the normal kinds of patches involve line numbers.
right?
And if you had multiple lines of code in the replace patch, we change the line numbers and then merging.
Okay,
In theory, could be done, but in practice, it would require looking at the entire contents of the file rather than just the changes.
okay. Thanks.
So if you have applied one patch, and then somebody else applies a patch on top of that, and you undo the first patch applied, does it automatically undo the second one, or does it leave what the second one had different?
It leaves what the second one did. Unless the second one depended on the first, in which case you wouldn't be able to do that without removing the second one.
So if you had a patch that added the sentence, "This is a dog,"
Mhm.
you patch that to change it to the sentence, "This is a dog and a cat,"
Mhm.
and then remove the "This is a dog" one, and remove "This is a dog," and it would remove "and a cat."
Yeah, in that case there would be a dependency and it's all in one line. But if, for example, the first patch had been add "this is a dog," the second patch had been, say, a replace patch which changes dogs to cats, then if I undo the "this is a dog" patch, the replace patch would still be there. Of course, the cat wouldn't be there because it only got there because the dog, if there was some other cat in the file, it would be named as a cat, not a dog.
Yeah, I was just looking for token replace patches in the manual. Is this the only place they're talking about?
I suppose. Well, or the replace command itself.
That would definitely.
Manual also has more documentation of replacement.
So, yeah, another thing I'd like to say about darcs is that there's a lot of like easy bugs to fix in its bug database, but it's just kind of growing because a lot of the people who know darcs really well, like David, don't have a lot of time to work on it, and so students who are interested and like want a fun project to hack on, I recommend it. So just put that up as a plug.
We have a very active, very friendly maintainer. Not me. I mean, not to say I'm not friendly, I'm not active. Or maintainer.
Cool.
Yeah, so like one thing that would be nice to get incorporated is that darcs doesn't manage any sort of file permissions right now, and a lot of people request that. They say say things like, well, I want to put you know, /etc under version control, and since darcs doesn't do file permissions, I have to have my own script to do that, and you know, that's really obnoxious. Why can't darcs just do it? So you know, coming up with a nice way to incorporate the management of permissions in patch theory would be nice if somebody did that. What else? Windows support, if there's, I mean, it's the LUG, so probably not. But if there's anyone in here who's, you know, a Windows developer and would like to use darcs, darcs could really use that. Somebody who uses Windows and likes darcs to champion it and sort of get it to be a first-class citizen on Windows.
Is there even a Haskell compiler on Windows?
GHC.
The main Haskell compiler development is funded by Microsoft nowadays, which it was created first, and it's all free software, so, you know. But unfortunately, since the guys who work on it are stuck on Windows mostly for political reasons, they have trouble. They use darcs, but they have trouble with it.
Yeah.
Because most of us don't use darcs. I mean, sorry, don't use Windows.
Right.
Know how to fix those annoying issues.
I have one other question.
Sure.
How does it handle like attempts to corrupt it, like the power goes out while you're committing, something like that?
An attempt. Are you actually going to try that?
Well, no, but I'm not saying what happens.
So it's quite robust. The there's a set of commands that are still dangerous, which are only dangerous in restricted circumstances. So, for example, obliterate, which removes patches. If you obliterate a patch that's not the most recent patch recorded, then darcs will have to modify the patch, the more recent patches. And during that process, currently, I'm working on improving this. Currently, that can lead to corruption if the operating system gets interrupted in the process. Similarly, there's an amend record which allows you to modify an already recorded patch. If you modify an older already recorded patch, then similarly darcs may have to modify other patches, and that can cause trouble. But your normal safe ones are safe. Those are the sorts of things that you don't want to do on a repository that's publicly accessible because it's bad to you know, leave other people with patches that, you know, aren't, you know. Yeah, it's for social reasons. So that's,
What's the biggest open source project that uses darcs?
I'd say GHC, the Haskell compiler. In fact, in the Haskell community, darcs is pretty much 100% penetrated the market. You know, not terribly surprisingly, but there's, yeah, this is the main Haskell server has
These are all
different
Dutch
projects.
repositories.
And yeah, GHC, in terms of code anyways, not in terms of like contributors, I don't think.
And somebody was able to put the Linux kernel under darcs. There was an effort, gosh, this is probably about a year and a half ago now, where people realized that darcs was really slow on large files, and or maybe there's just tons of tiny files. And so a lot of really smart people optimized that a lot and got it to where, you know, in, I don't know, like an hour or something, you could record all of the Linux kernel. I don't know how long.
I think faster than that, yeah.
Okay.
The big issue was lots and lots of files was causing trouble. And unfortunately, Ian now has a real job. He graduated.
Cool. Well,
At Microsoft.
well, thanks, guys. I'm out of video, so.